On another episode of Soothing Semantics, I'm your host, Rafi Pinsky. Make sure to subscribe, like, share, leave your comments, and here we go. Today we have a man from the sea, from across the ocean. My guy, Lior Ophir, who was in Shayetet 13, Shayetet 13, which is the equivalent of the Navy SEALs. So we like to coin it as the Israeli Navy SEALs.
Correct.
Okay, quite a big deal. Really an honor to have you sitting in my apartment because as Israeli soldiers who are not in such a unit, this is arguably part of the top 3 in the entire Israeli military. You have Sayeret Matkal. What would you equate? Shaldag, would you think is up there? Or no?
Yeah, I think you're right. Shaldag, Sayeret Matkal, and Shayetet.
Yeah, and I mean for guys that were in a unit like mine, I mean it was Kfir is nice and we had our experiences, but there are just different calibers in the Israeli military, and it's quite a big deal. I know Lior is a humble man, and he's very pleasant to speak with, but it's no joke, guys. I mean we're about to dive into one of the most incredible military units in the world. So enjoy, guys. If you have any questions, well, you're gonna have to kind of ask him afterwards. But here we are. So thank you. Toda Shabbat.
Of
thank
course,
you for coming.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
I will stay humble, and I will say every soldier has his important role in protecting Israel, or every in the U.S. I train a lot with the U.S. Navy SEALs in Israel here. It's considered to be a special unit for the obvious reasons, which we'll talk about, the training and all the other things. But I really don't see myself as special in terms of my contribution to defending Israel, basically.
I think at the end of the day, when there is a very small percentage of human beings that can put themselves through that sort of training and make it through, because how many soldiers actually go through the training? Forget about not making it past the training, but actually try out.
So I think the main, after a lot of small trials and tests, for from physical ability to your mental health to your intelligent level and so forth, you're starting the final week, the trials, about every year about 1,200, and I think 50 are passing this 1 week of hell that considered
right.
to be, and starting the course itself, which essentially after 2 years of training, only 15, approximately 15 from these 50 finishing the course and become like Shayetet warriors, so to speak.
And what's the training like? So give us kind of a rundown. Well, say you are looking to go to Shayetet, right? You're 18 years old. How does the process start? Where do you first begin?
So for me, it's a little bit, I would say, probably a little bit unusual process that I went through. I mean,
by the way, before I go anywhere, Eyal Melamed, thank you so much for making this happen.
Right.
Yeah, I have to make sure to shout him out.
Yeah.
Thank you, brother. Guys, for whoever doesn't know, Eyal is also a realtor as well. I know I'm a realtor, but I just want to personally thank you for making this happen, because I thought about this. I had a buddy of mine from Duvdevan about 2 weeks ago. So I wanted to have people from different Sayarot, different special forces units. And Eyal said, oh, I know a guy. So thank you, brother. I appreciate you.
Yeah. So I went to the regular process, but it wasn't my dream. Like I remember, it's Avri Shon, which is like the first time that basically the IDF calls every teenager in Israel that is, past the 16 years old. They call me for the first time. You doing those. I forgot how those exam called, but basically
I don't remember either.
Right, just on the keyboard, and they checking kind of like your common sense and to make sure that the way you see the world, is like you intelligent enough to solve basic problems.
Easiest test.
Yeah, just like simple. I think the goal is just to make sure that you are kind of like on the spectrum pretty much.
Not
right?
completely, yeah.
Right, and then in the end of the day, you have an interview with someone that basically asks you, okay, what do you want to do? What is your vision? You know, more about your personal story and everything. And I remember this girl, she interviewed me and she told me, okay, listen, yeah, you did well in the day. Like, what do you want to do in your service? And I'm like, I don't know, what is the toughest thing you have? And she's laughing, like, haha, no, I'm serious. And I'm like, no, I'm serious. What is the toughest thing? Like, what is considered to be like the elite unit? So I didn't know a lot, just from like names, but like nothing. I never tried to study what considered to be. I was just very innocent at this point.
Your parents did either of your parents, your dad, go to any kind of unit?
No. My older brother went to Chovlim.
Okay.
So I had kind of like attachment to the Navy, which is very different in Israel than in the US, because the Navy is not like the army but they're like Chel Hayam, which is the Navy, is like in the part of the military. Like you don't see it as like a different branch like here. So she told me, like I told her, okay, seriously, like what is considered to be like the toughest and like the most prestigious one? She's like, Shayetet. So I like, okay, I want to do Shayetet.
So she thought it was Shayetet. She didn't say Matal or something.
Yeah, she told me Shayetet.
Okay.
Which we can talk about the difference between Shayetet and the others, but obviously, as I said, every unit is, I think, very important in general and special in its own way. And she's laughing again, and she's okay. Like, and if not Shayetet, and I'm like, that's it. I decided. It's been decided already. Like,
so you decided, like in that 1 minute conversation, that was where you're going.
That's done.
Were you like that when you were younger? You were very quick to make decisions.
You know what? It's a great question. I think I allow my instinct to lead a lot of my a lot of my decision. Still, I give a lot of weight to my gut feeling. But now I do like the process, like I try to really see what's gonna get me to where I want to be in like 5-10 years from today. So, and then I decide. But even now, when I have a big decision to take, I always go to sleep before I take the decision one way or another, and then say, okay, now I feel committed and I feel like that's the right thing for me. But back then, I was just a teenager. I was arrogant in a way, like I said, okay, what is the toughest thing? Like, who thinks like that? Like, nobody, right? And I went for it. And then, so I did so she basically gave me an invitation for Yom Sayarot, which is like this one day that every teenagers that want to go to one of the special units, which is basically everybody start there and then they kind of like filter to other places. It's one day they just like physical. There is no social, no nothing. It's just like you against everybody in terms of physical. And I remember I almost passed like few times during the Yom Sayarot, during this day. I just gave my literally every ounce of my like everything. Like I was almost dying like during this day.
What were some of the things that they made you do?
Carry like a bag of sand and circle like a huge area of cones and all the group. So they have like I think thousands of kids in this day, that they separate them to a dozen of groups. And then every group, they pick like the best 5 pretty much. So you can be in a group that is like mediocres, or you can be the group that are like the best. You don't know, but they see how you handle the physical challenges they throw at you. And I did this day. I will say pretty confident even before they gave us the results, which is at the same day. Like you're just waiting in the same area, everybody under the same big tent, and then they kind of like announce who passed, who didn't, and which unit you passed. I'm not sure exactly how this process used to work. Now I'm a little bit more familiar because my reserve, which we'll talk after, but But back then, you had like 3 choices: Shaldag, Shayetet, and Matkal. And if you were like in the top 10%, basically, out of everybody, they went with your decision unless, and every group, every like 20 students group, you had 3 instructors, one from Shaldag, one from Shayetet, and one from Matkal. And if you choose Shayetet, which is the Navy SEALs, and the guy from the Navy SEALs gives thumbs up, then you go there. But if you're not in the 10%, they kind of like sporadically just give whatever they want or whatever they decide, or just don't pick you at all. So I was pretty good. I was like the best, or I would say among the best 2 or 3 in this group. So
how many people were in the group?
In the group, we started around like 25 to 30. We finished the day between 15 to 20. It's easier to finish the day because you can be kind of like, okay, it tells you, go around, so you're just running in your own pace. So it's hard not to finish the day.
Okay.
It's still like you still need to have like a level, physical level, ability levels to pass the day, but it's not like everybody can basically pass. The question is how you pass. You're getting C or A,
right.
And the A is like, tough. Like that was very tough day. So I was among like the best 2 or 3. So my decision, and the guy from the Shayetet gave the thumbs up. So I went from there to the 1-week trials.
But here's the thing: didn't you need to practice for this before you even started? Before you got to this at all, were you training for it?
I was always, I won't say very athletic, but it's a little bit story from my childhood, I will say, which I don't mind to go through this quickly. But basically, I lost my dad when I was 8 years old. My dad always said, you're not gonna play soccer, you're not gonna play like sports, you're just gonna be a doctor. Basically, that was his dream. So every day, like, I couldn't go play with my kids as like 6-7 years old kid. I had to study at home. After he passed, I think my escape was to go to sports. So fast forward.
So he made you study like medical things when you were a kid?
I studied a lot of crazy things, like on atom bombs and stuff like that when I was a kid. I did not like it, to be honest. I don't like the traditional educational system. I think it's just inefficient in many ways.
By the way, you can curse on this if you want to.
Oh no, fine. But I'm just saying, I think it's like in many ways even foolish. It doesn't. Especially today, I'm Googling everything I want, and I don't need the teacher. Like,
I know, right? It's so true.
Stupid. Sure. But in general, I was my escape was after this personal tragedy that I have was to go to sports. So I was always in very good, I would say, shape, and I love sport until today. Like today, I went twice to the gym already. By the time we have this interview, we'll tell you about after. But
you go to the gym twice every day usually?
I used to go once or twice a day, or I would say around 10 to 15 sessions a week. But now with work and everything and kids, my thing is like 4 times a week. Like I have to do this 4 times, which is like normal, I will say, in a way. But when I go to the gym, is like I go like I'm gonna smash it. Like I'm putting everything,
What kind of gym are we talking about? We're talking about.
So now I'm doing martial arts, mainly Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Oh yeah, I forgot to mention you're a black belt, right?
Black belt and a world champion Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Yeah.
Wow, that's
so
amazing.
So yeah, I mean now I train mainly Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Once a week I do like cross training, mainly gym, just like go lift a little bit and something, not nothing crazy, just to keep get something else in my routine pretty much. But any case, go back to our story. After this day that I passed, I went to the trials, which is 1-week trials. There they test everything they can. They test how much grit you have, your social skills, how good swimmer you are, physical ability, mental ability.
Do you have to already be a great swimmer when you get into it?
That's a great question. I literally had people that started the course with me, meaning they passed all the trials when they didn't know how to swim. Like they knew like basic, like I think you call it like a dog swim, like pretty much only how to keep your heads above the water pretty much way.
So they went from not being a good swimmer to being an amazing swimmer.
In fact, the one that I refer to, he didn't finish the course, but not because the water, because of a different reason. Not because he didn't know how to swim, should I say. And but yeah, you not become like a swimmer in terms of like an Israeli or world champion or like even like national level.
Right.
You don't.
Right.
But you are getting, again, like you swim almost every day, so like you become very good swimmer,
Right.
but like not elite. Like
Right.
I'm one of not the best swimmers in my team, I can say. I had like amazing ones. I had like guys that were in a national level, which
Wow.
like I will never be good as them, even if I will train for the rest of life, and they will do nothing. Just their natural.
Right. They're talented. Yeah.
Yeah, they're just talented. So, but yeah, it's not. It's funny. It's not like how fast you swim or how fast you run. It's about if you every time give you 100%. If you get a little bit better, continuous improvement. Like you just keep, you can run. So the thing is, so now in my reserve, now I'm inactive because I live here in the US. But while I was living in Israel and after my military service in my reserve, I was one of the guys that filtering or picking the best guys or the guys we thought are good fit for our unit in those trials. And it's not, we don't pick like only the best ones. We pick the ones that we feel that have the capabilities to persevere and to overcome all the challenges we're gonna throw at them. And that's important, because even if you're not the best swimmer or the best runner or the best physical person, if you're gonna put everything on the line every single day and you're not gonna break, you're gonna make it happen. And that's require a lot of discipline, which is obviously an issue for itself. Discipline is everybody. I see a lot of like leadership and like business, amazing, from TED Talks to like different podcasts and different influential people and public speakers talking about discipline. It's so easy to say, yeah, you need to be disciplined. Yeah, tell me how many people you know that are really disciplined.
Yeah,
this
very
is
few.
And so what I did when I was back to this thing, and I think that really helped me to finish the course, which is what makes me special in my way, is I remember when I started this week of like the final trial, which is like the most important one in anyone's and considered to be the toughest week maybe in the world in terms of trials, especially in Israel at least, is I saw, I'm not a big guy. I'm 150, not too tall. I'm just like a regular human being.
It's very funny though, because suppose a lot of guys that are in Israeli Special Forces units aren't necessarily huge guys.
Correct.
But that's also a benefit. You're more nimble. You're more agile. You know what I mean?
Correct. And I think I was, it's in Atlit, which is next to Haifa, and it's in the Shayetet base. So.
By the way, what's the Shayetet base like? Is it a nice base? I feel like you guys...
It's the nicest coast in the world. So take like the nicest isolated Thailand beach that you have in your mind. That's pretty much it. Nobody gets there. And only the Shayetet soldiers, which we have. We are being educated and we are appreciating like the fact that this beach is just untouched almost. So it's like gorgeous. Like it's second to none. Like literally, this is amazing. So I remember myself there in under like a huge tent, okay, with all the other guys. Most of them are much more seems to be stronger than me, more physical than me, and I'm like, man, I have to find an excuse to come up with excuse when I fail to my family or my friends, like why I didn't do it. So I will say, maybe I will tell them I had like diarrhea, or maybe I had like, I sprained my ankle or something like that. And then I'm like, that was when it came to me. I said, hold on. Stop for 1 second. Like you don't really know these people. People before you finish these trials, this week, people with you now, you see everybody sit here and you have like 500 people around you. Some of them will finish it and in the future, many people will finish it. Do you really want to finish it or not? And this is where I manage to have discipline when I want to, because it's important, because you can only be disciplined when you want to. You can be disciplined when you don't, when you choose not to, right?
So what does discipline mean to you? That's also a deeper question.
Right. So discipline mean for me is to take a decision and to go with it like all in, like no go back. It's kind of like you have to be really, really, really committed. You have to see the vision before. And I always tell to myself, and especially today, take your time before you make this decision, because once you have to be committed. What happens when you take this approach, you don't take foolish mistakes because you understand what you have on stake, right? So now you have to be very, mindful and thoughtful about what you're going to agree with yourself. So I'm gonna make a deal with myself, like a lease. Like now you have to pay 12 months, either you want it or you don't. You right? Unless you're gonna face whatever, like this, the circumstance that gonna happen from not doing it. But that was my thing. So I decided at this point, told myself, no matter what happened, I go for it, like all in. It's done. Like with the conversation I had with this girl for like 1 minute, that I told her what is the most difficult thing. Yeah, done. That's the decision was made. Now I just need to execute pretty much. So I think the biggest challenge of people when they do that, I call the excuses mechanism. During the course of whatever process you're trying to go through, you'll find so many reasons why not. So many reasons. Something happened with my family. I don't feel well. It's not for me. It's not what I thought it will be. But that's the thing. That's why take your time, take a breather before you make the decision. And think, is it something I really wanted or not? If it's not, don't waste your time. Don't pretend. Don't do one day and then go to your friends and say, "No, I hurt my knee after I fell from whatever." No. Why? Just go watch the beach for 10 minutes during, when I talk about this moment when I took this decision, and then just go back home. Why you need to, go go to the beach now and run and sweat and schnitzels on the beach, why? Like, just if you don't really want it, then done. If you do want it, you have to understand that you'll find so many excuses along the way, but none of them will be really important. Now, sometimes during the process, you kind of understand that maybe it's not what you expected. So now next time, first of all, you have to be much more thoughtful about decisions you make. That's one thing. The second thing is what I came up with my formula. I said, let's finish it. After I finish all the process, then let's go back in time and see if what I thought during the process was right or wrong. And maybe next time, in the beginning of the process, I shouldn't decide to take those, do these deals with myself, take those responsibility on myself. But once I decide, and this is discipline for me, discipline is to be fully committed with the decisions you think that are in the course of a time will be the right for you, basically. Which is not an easy, because you have to see the vision, you have to be thoughtful about the process you're going to go through. But this is where most of the people fail.
I think a lot of people don't trust themselves. They don't trust themselves that they're able to get to the finish line, and they don't also they maybe don't have a plan for what the finish line looks like, and they also doubt that it's an opportunity or an option. So I don't know. I mean, I use my podcast as an example all the time. It's not a huge podcast, but I see the vision. I know that if I can stay consistent and disciplined for long enough, even when maybe I'm not I was really excited to talk to you, but I wasn't in the mood to do it now, because I went to, Chag Suda like last night. I went to a dinner last night, holiday dinner, okay? And I drank a nice amount. I got pretty drunk. And I don't drink that much. So when I do drink, like, it just kills me. So this whole day, I was just really tired, But at the end of the day, I want to have this conversation. I want to get this done, and I don't want there to be a chance. You took your time to come and sit with me, I'm not going to cancel on you because I'm tired, you know?
Right.
And now I'm here. Now I'm great. Like, I'm listening to you. I'm enjoying, I'm loving where this is going because, but that's part of it. There's people that be like, you know what? I'm tired. Let me reschedule. It's like, oh, hold on. He took his time out of his day. It's holiday, whatever he's doing, he has other things to do. I'm not gonna cancel. There wasn't even a thought. It wasn't even a thought in my mind.
I have something for you. I like what you're saying, and this is something that my captain said. Look, I have goosebumps. I will never forget this sentence that he said, and it's kind of like a rule of thumb for me now. He said, if you can do something today or do something tomorrow, do it today so tomorrow you can do something else.
Oh yeah, 100%.
This is so fundamentally right, and this is where almost 100% of the people will always, in some point of their day, will fail with those small things. And I never go to sleep until what I decided that I can do today, I will do it today, so tomorrow I will be able to do something else. This is when you become much more proactive.
100%.
Right?
100%.
This is so simple, but like, even I will give you an example. Before I go to work every day, the night before, I put already in my closet what I'm gonna wear.
Yeah, it's such a good idea. I've done that many times. I'm not consistent with that, but I'm overall a pretty consistent person, I can say.
It's related in a way to, if you know the story of this.
By the way, don't lose your thought, Liora, because we were going into we keep talking about it, but we went off a little bit. You were talking about the 500 people in the room,
right,
or the 500 people, and you weren't as like big as they were,
right,
or whatever. But yeah, go back.
So just back to you make your bed in a way. You just do one, like, there is it's a small task, but you're gonna do it because you can do it, and just finish it and move on. So the same thing here. To the 500, so I just basically decided that I want it. That was kind of like I said, okay, I go for it, no excuses, and I made myself, I shake my own hand, and I made this deal with myself, and I can tell you that almost every time when I got to the breaking point, which you get like almost like on an hourly basis, their goal is to break you, to see, really who can make it. Every time I got to this point, I said, Lior, you close the deal. You can go back. And it's like time, like on an hourly basis, and I'm talking about a week long. And that really helped me, because I said, you have to respect your own word. You gave yourself like a word. It's done. Come on. Like, stop being like, stop being this soft guy. Like, you have to, like, everybody do it. We are with you. People will do it in the end of this week. Why it couldn't be you? So I told myself, I went back to, I said, what excuse I can find? Maybe I sprained my ankle. Maybe I hurt my knee. Maybe my back hurts. To a point, like a mindset of, even if you chop all my limbs off, I will still finish this week. Which is like crazy, right? But it's like, it's so true. Like, it's so nothing, basically, there is no power in this world that could stop me from finishing this week. But in the best way I potentially could. Which I can tell you that, reflecting back a little bit, and I'm not talking about today, like even a week after, as a 17 years old teenager, I said, man, it wasn't that bad as people said. And I tried to think about all the exercises and all the tests that they gave us. That was very intensive. But the fact is that I didn't see that as what I'm going through. I saw it as an opportunity to demonstrate my ability better than others. So I knew the tougher it becomes, the more chances for me is to showcase that I'm the right guy. So I knew if it's tough for me, it's tough for them. But I knew that here, because I decided I have just a little bit better chance, because they were very strong. But we all got to the breaking point. And now the question is, how are you going to handle it? Are you going to be this guy that's finding the excuses and start to limp even if nothing happens? Or are you going to give me more? Yeah. Give me more. Throw at me whatever you have, So it's funny. Yeah. I mean, So again, I think it wasn't that bad as it was, but it wasn't because mentally I was like so ready. It just made my life easier. It's funny that I'm saying it, but it was.
That's what it is. It's all mental. You see that in the unit I was in. You see some of these bigger guys and they can't make it through. I remember this guy was crying through the training. And then you have other guys who are small, little, skinny guys, and they're carrying everything. And it's just all in your head. It really is. What was the hardest part of that week? You're talking about this week specifically. What were some of the hardest parts?
Okay. So after this week, basically, if you pass, you're starting the training as a soldier when you get to 18 years old. And this is 2 years course. Now, it's funny because the easiest week you have in the training, these 2 years of training, is far tougher than this 1 week. It's all about perspective. It's funny. But I'm telling you, every single week was like above and behind anything you can even imagine or compare it to this 1 week.
For those 2 years, you were doing it every single week, pretty much. You had training every week for 2 years.
So
more or less.
Yeah, so these 2 weeks are every single week is like you have like a different theme, like a different thing. Basically, the first 4 are just tironut, just the boot camp with Nahal, which is like regular boot camp that every soldier is going through in his military service. If you are like a combat soldier, right? And then you go to the boot camp of the unit, which is there. Basically, 80% of the people that quit out of these 50. Remember, we have the 50 that's starting the course, and 15 that finishing the course. So 80% of the 50 are basically quitting during this boot camp of the unit, which is also 4 months or 3 months.
So where do they usually go? They go to other sayarot usually?
Yeah, they go to other sayarot.
Where do you think they usually go?
Mr. Aravim, Duvdevan, like other great units, like really great units. Because again, you were already among the 2% or 1%, right? So obviously, they overcome many things. There are a lot of things, that different in the Shayetet. So go back to your question, what was the toughest thing? So I won't say what was the toughest thing in the week. I will say what was the toughest thing in the course, which is 2 years of this 1 week, right? So I have better perspective, and obviously, it's bigger. It's more time for you to reflect and to start to go back and understand what's going on and go through all the crazy stuff that's running in your head and in your body. People will be shocked pretty much from what I'm going to say, but it wasn't the march. It wasn't like the long swimming or the hours of diving and all those hell that they trying to take you through the course. The toughest thing is every single morning, no matter what, summer, winter, you tired, you slept 3 hours, you slept 1 hour, you slept 6 hours, on Saturday, on Sunday, on middle of the week, whatever it is, you have to wake up. When they tell you don't know, normally you don't even have watch with you until like very late in the course. But you have 3 minutes to put the speed on, run around, let's say, 200 meters, which is like 1,000 feet or so. Not too much. That's not the distance. It's not the issue. But you have to run barefoot on like asphalt-ish, and you go to a swim. Have all the team together, and then once you finish the swim, you're waiting in like a formation, like 3, like shlishiyot, we say in Hebrew. I don't know how you
just groups of 3.
Yeah.
How would you say? I don't know how to.
Groups of 3 of everybody next to each other, pretty much, right? Like a normal like formation of soldiers that's standing, right?
It's just like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Like I guess that would be the best way to do it.
Right.
Okay.
And then you need to dry yourself with the natural resources we have, which is basically wind. Now, in the winter, if I will tell you, just go with Speedo, barefoot, just outside to take your dog out, you will shoot somebody in the head. So imagine that this is after a swim, after you didn't sleep at night, every single day. That's the thing. Every single day. This is what breaks you. So basically, people are quitting in this 80% that I told you out of this 50 in these 4 months, and they literally They wake us up. They wake us in the morning, say 3 minutes, see you there, and then like, no, I'm not going there. I remember this vividly. That was like the number one reason why people quit during the course. You can't, and one time it's easy. I'm telling you, one time it's easy. I mean, easy if you prepare yourself and you're saying, I will prove everybody I got it.
What kind of swimming are we doing though? Like tying your hands and legs, that
no,
kind of
no,
stuff?
just a normal swimming in the ocean.
Swim in the ocean.
Yeah, like again, like 1,000 feet or something. Really not that bad. Like really, it's nothing. It's like, again, if you take an Olympic swimming pool, probably like 4 times back and forth or 6 times back and forth. Nothing. Every person can do that.
So you got to go 1,000 feet into the water?
My grandmother can do that. Like in the swimming. Literally, it's kind of like a competition, but it's not really a competition. Just do it as fast as you can.
Okay.
You get to the be the last person, then right. Hey, why did you like next time try to improve yourself? So it puts on yourself pressure. You do swim fast, but it's not a contest.
You just have to do it.
You just have to do it. That's simple as that. That's the point. Like this is how we open the day. Guys, we like you say, Shema Israel.
Every day.
That's your Shema Israel.
That's how you do every single day. You had to do
every single day in
7 days a week, every day.
Yes. Wow. And that's what breaks people more than anything. This has come to the discipline. You find so many excuses and you say, "What? This is so stupid. This is." And if I will tell every person that listens to us now, I will tell him one day, go to the beach, swim for 200 meters, which is like 1,000 feet or roughly, come back, you say, man, this is like the easiest thing. Like why are people quitting from that? Oh yeah, it's the easiest thing. Do it also in the winter, do it also in the summer, and do it every single day. And you wake up not so people looking for, man, I had the march or 40, which maybe you heard, or 40 centimeters of water for 40 kilometers with 40 pounds or 40 kilos on your back. Yeah, it's very, very tough. Your skin on your feet becomes like mushy and like wounds and then like
rips off.
Yeah, it's crazy, but that's not the toughest thing. This is kind of like, this is one of the things that you prepare yourself. Say, oh, this is like, I will do that and done. It's like one time and it's done. It's bang, right? It's easy as bangs in life. Mm-hmm. But when you have to do it every single time, like you mentioned in the podcast, no matter what, it's Rosh Hashanah today. Listen, I have 2 kids at home. I have work. I have a lot of responsibility, which we talk about it. I'm sure you have too. You have clients, but you decided you do that. That's what I think makes discipline so important, and what makes successful people be successful, because they see this vision. They say, no matter what happens, like I decided, we talked together. It took me time to respond to you because I was busy, but once I told you the okay, that was no going back. This is final.
You really don't meet a lot of people with these qualities. It's something that I've had to learn and develop. Meeting people like you just strengthens that confidence in me. Just understanding how important it is. It's crazy how rare it is. So many people, right. Most people, even people I'm friends with, they, and this is something I try to influence them with, is the discipline. Just pushing away the temporary things so you can have the better things later is what discipline is all about. And I'm not perfect with it. I'll drink here and there. I don't go out much, but really just work all the time, honestly. But even last night I could have said, I'm not having a drink, or I'm not drinking anything ever again. I'm not really interested in doing that, right, because I'm not an alcoholic. I never have been.
Right.
So I don't have this need to constantly drink. The only thing I have an addiction with is nicotine. I don't smoke cigarettes, but I smoke the vape.
Yep.
And that's a discipline thing, So that's something, if I want to quit it, I need to quit it.
So I want to tell, especially the audience and everybody that listen to us, I think if I mention, everybody talk about discipline. It's so easy to say, discipline. It's important more than motivation. Everybody understand it. But again, discipline, it's so hard, right? It's so hard to understand it. So I have a small exercise that everybody can practice, and they can build their discipline level within themselves, like significantly. But I'm talking about like a different human being. Okay, very easy. And because I try to think what helped me to kind of like build this discipline, because I'm probably one of the most disciplined person you will ever meet. Mm-hmm. I take a lot of pride of that, It's not easy though, right? But the best way to build discipline is pick one thing a day, only one thing a day, that will be considerably for you easy to do, that will be better than everybody else in your close circle. So I'll give you an example. Let's say all your friends are waking up, or the earliest they're waking up is 7:50. Wake up at 7:45. You know at this day, you are second to none in your close circle. Already you are the best because you decided that this is how you're going to test yourself. You're already the best. It can be in your workspace with your colleagues. Send in the end of the day at 11:59 an email, because you know nobody's going to send later than you, or 1 a.m., whatever you want, an email to someone else. Already what happens when you do so, you know that when you decide, you can be the best from everybody you know, basically. Then you start to push automatically, like your natural reaction, your reflex is, it's so easy and I'm already like the best. Let's do it more. So now
becomes addictive.
Exactly. Because everybody said, I'm afraid to fail. I think it's not right to define it like that. I think most of the people really love to win, but not everybody like to put the effort to win. So it's just easier not to win than than to fail even, right? So the point is, basically, once you start to do it with your close circle, so let's say I'm asking all your friends where you wake up in the morning. I know like the earliest they do is 6:30. Okay, I just need to wake up at 6 one day, every single day or whatever, right? Then I'm starting to ask all the people I know. I started to hear about successful people from Ray Dalio to whatever you have in mind, Tony Robbins. When are you waking up in the morning? Oh, you waking up at 5:30? Okay, now wake up at 5:20. What happens now? You are the best in the world already in something, like so easy. And this is something you picked for yourself, and you don't have to be committed every day to do that. You can every day choose something else. You can choose 1 week I'm not drinking beer. All my friends are drinking one beer a day. One week I'm not drinking beer. Boom, I'm second to none this whole week. I'm sending email the latest out of everybody. Boom, I'm second to none in my workspace already. It's so easy. So micro wins, that this is how you build your discipline. Because it's so easy to say discipline, but then it's hard to follow that.
You know what's so funny? I am 100% on board with you, and I will absolutely implement that. But that's because I already, even though I'm 28, and I'm not the most disciplined person in the world, but I can say I'm more disciplined than most people I know, is once you start to realize what discipline gives you, it's so addictive.
Right.
Especially once you see results from it, because the hard work that you put in that sucked while you were doing it, but you see it gets you the results that you want, you need to get more and more and more.
Right.
And then when you build it to a level where it's way past your friends and people you know, meaning this podcast is another example, or my real estate business, where people that start at the same time as me are making, X amount of money, closing X amount of deals. Maybe they're making, 150 a year, closing 15 deals, 20 deals, and I closed 70 deals, and I made, 700,000, and the podcast has 100,000 subscribers and 200 episodes, and everyone. I have another guy I know that does a podcast that has 200 subscribers and blah blah blah. So, in a sense, it's competition, and I think that's healthy.
Right.
But it's just so many people.
It's competition with yourself, even.
Right, 100%. And I love it. I see such a beauty in it. But there's so many people that just. They want what discipline gives you, but they're not willing to fucking put themselves through the pain.
Listen, I understand it. It's hard.
Yeah.
So this is why you need to start with small. This is so easy. Like, I just need to wake up earlier than my wife and my family members. This is so easy. Most of them wake up, the average person wake up at...
When do you wake up usually?
I'm...
You
people ask me.
You don't sleep.
Yes, exactly. People ask me, "Are you a morning guy or late night guy?" And I'm like, I'm just not sleeping. Honestly, like 4 or 5 hours a day. But it's not healthy. So I'm trying everything I can to push it. I understand this is not healthy, but basically, I will say ideally, like a normal day, even if I wake up and I'm trying to, force myself to go back to sleep, 11 to 6 somewhere, maybe an hour later, maybe an hour earlier. But this is what I'm trying to do. These 7 hours, which never happens really 7, but I'm trying to give my body like this time. I think 7, I used to be like, again, most of the days I will show you in my Whoop, in my like, it's like this thing that measure everything you do basically. Normally I'm waking up at like at 5:30, and then if I have a lot of thoughts, then I'm like, let's go. Mm-hmm. When I open my eyes, the problem is I'm 100% ready to go. Like 100%. Like I just need to go wash my teeth, pee, and that's it. You can put me like in a conference meeting with like 200 people, and I'm like I'm ready. Like it's fine.
Can I ask you an honest? By the way, I started working on that. There are days the Army helped me with that, where if I wake up, especially if I have to be somewhere, mm-hmm. I just my head is telling me, you're tired, stay in, and I'm just like, shut up, boom, and I just like kick my legs and get myself out of bed. And it's most days. This is a funny question, and we're staying on topic, but a little off. So many men, quite honestly, are just out of shape, unmotivated, low testosterone. They're not men. They're not impressive in any way. They go to their shitty job. They live their shitty lives. And I just think that's a huge reason why they're not happy in their marriages or their relationships. Their woman, their wife, doesn't admire them as a strong, disciplined, motivated man. So being that you're that guy, what do you feel like your wife, I'm sure you have a loving relationship, do you ever have these talks where she like looks at you and says, I'm so fortunate to have a guy that's so different, it's rare to have that kind of...
It's funny.
This is a question I really want to know. That's why I'm asking.
It's okay. My wife is exactly the opposite than me.
Okay.
She's not like into like discipline. She's like, whatever happens. But when she is in the zone, she's like me. Mm-hmm. So I need artificially to create myself to be where I need to put the more effort than the normal human being to be disciplined, I think. For her, it comes naturally when she needs. She's like, she's killing it at work, but she won't even bother herself until she works. And then she works, like I can't talk to her. She's like a different beast, which is funny. So every person has his own thing. But the thing is, what I like about her, with my, like when I'm reflect myself, like how she contribute to be disciplined myself, is every time when there is something big on the line, because that's how she works, she's like, Leo, you cannot fuck this up. Like, put everything you have. And even if I don't succeed, she's like, hey, keep going. Mm-hmm. Keep going. So I will say, like, in terms of, she's not as disciplined as me, but when it comes to like the most important decisions or events, she knows how to push me more. Mm-hmm. You understand? So she will never accept me as a mediocre. She will never accept me. So she doesn't care how much I do.
You've set that standard for yourself by living the life you've lived.
Right.
Everyone who knows you has a certain...
I agree with you.
And I think that way for myself. I wouldn't say I'm regretful, but I know that I could have done at least a unit like Duvdevan or something. And there's always a little bit of a feeling of what if to me. And I met some guys. I have my friend Mauro. Shout out to you, Mauro. He's Argentinian, but he's Jewish, and he went to Duvdevan. So, and I think about it because, the training was tough, but I definitely could have done a tougher training, 100%. I was working out for years before I drafted. A lot of the guys were not in great physical shape. Some of them were, but not great. Like I was stronger than most of the guys, and I wanted to be in a place where I would be much more at the bottom, where I'd have to prove myself. So that was one thing that was,
I will tell you something though in regards to that. I think it's everybody's problem. Even I face something like that. For example, after I lost my dad, I started to play sports, different sports. 1 year soccer, different year basketball, baseball, swimming, just name it, everything. And everything I did, because I was competing with myself, I was very good. I was the captain in basketball 1 year. Then the next year I was the captain of the football. Doesn't make sense. Like who can do that? Something like that. I was so committed. But what happened is, because I didn't have the father figure to direct me and focus my talent in one thing, I was all over the place. So moving forward, as 20 years old, that I never being professional in any sport, I told myself I could be like Lionel Messi. I think I really could be. And this is such a miss. Like, man, this is like, what if? Like you said, like I regret it, right? But you know why I don't? Because it taught me a lesson of being focused. And I'll give you an example. I was training while I had a full-time job, normal life like everybody. I moved to Chicago actually from Israel 8 years ago. I had like a job opportunity I could refuse to. And in my free time, I just started to do like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And I loved it. I also saw that I can be very good at it. So I was obsessed. I did everything I can to learn more and more every day, 2 times a day. Like you asked me how many times I train a day. That was the peak of my physical career, I will say. And I won a few world championship titles. You know why? Because I learned from my teenager or the childhood, stay focused on one thing. And people ask me, hey, do you want to play, my best friends, do you want to play soccer with us? Come play billiard, come play whatever? No, I'm going to jiu-jitsu. That's the only thing I do. Sports, that's the only thing I do. So to the point is, even if we face it in the past, and we made those mistakes, which we all human beings, we all make mistakes, it's not too late, because you can still, like, you learn your lesson. You learn that now you need to be focused if you want to achieve greatness. You know, by the way, in regard to that, I see a lot of people that says you need to do what makes you happy. I think this is an issue in the Z generation, or I don't know how they call, like the younger generation.
Yeah.
You need to do what makes you happy. I so disagree with that. I will explain you. What makes me happy is watching Netflix and eat pizza all day. I'm telling you, I will be the happiest person alive.
That's what you really would rather do?
Yeah, if I could, just eat pizza and watch Netflix. This is the ideal time or hobby or whatever you want to call it, right? Even singing, I'm the worst singer. Like, you don't even want to hear me trying even, but I'm realistic.
Yeah.
You cannot build a career out of that. I cannot build a career out of watching Netflix and eat pizza. No. So I think the phrase or this approach of you need to do what makes you happy is a total wrong. You need to do what makes you great. You need to see what you're good at, because normally when you do something that you're good at, it's inspire yourself more. It's inspire other people around you. You become like, you get a status legend in a way, even if it's your inner circle, but still. And then it's grow from there, because more people hear about you and you do it more and you have more experience and you keep pushing it. And so when you're good at something, you will always be happy from doing it, because it's inspire others or yourself, or you grow and it's thin, and you can be like the peak, and you can be the top in the food chain, whatever it is. So I think this is important. Again, when you focus and you're good at something, put the effort there. Not what makes you happy, what you're passionate about, and all these fairy tales that they're telling. This is not how life works. So, I mean, it's almost irrelevant to tell my kid, hey, I want you to do what makes you happy. No. I want to watch Netflix all day. Do I watch Netflix all day? No. Why? Because it's not a career. It's not going to take me anywhere.
100%.
So.
But then again, I mean, first of all, I fully agree with it. I love what you said. I mean, I like watching movies, but I prefer to do something, I mean, that makes you great, like you said. I enjoy something that really takes a level of discipline and hardship.
Right.
Because, I mean, as much as I would like to watch a movie, dude, after 2-3 hours, man, I'm done. Like, I'm drained.
Man, I can cry watching a movie. I swear. I love watching movies. I can do it all day. But you know what? Let me tell you another thing. Although I love it, and that's also, that's my deal with myself, I don't consume at all news. I barely watch TV. I wish I had more time. I love it to my bones, I'm telling you, but I wish I had more time. Now I decided in the last, let's say, 9-10 months, I decided all this garbage time, pretty much, that I'm not investing in myself. I'm going to hear podcasts. I'm going to listen to TED Talks. I'm going to listen to books. I can read, but that's my thing. I wish I could read books, but I'm listening to books, which is the same thing.
You say you can't read books like in English, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I can read books. I can I can hold the book and read more than one sentence without losing my mind.
Oh, okay. You don't like to read, okay.
Yeah, I don't like to read. I can't. I like, I understand the value. I just physically, I don't know, my mind is like on steroids all day. I can't focus. So, but listen, when I drive,
I don't like to. By the way, I don't like to read that much either. I really don't. I prefer to watch.
I like, but I can't.
Right.
So I aware. So I listen to books, which is perfectly fine for me. So I listen to a lot of books, podcasts, TED Talks, and like amazing, influential people. Even sometimes on social media, you have like other people you can follow that really inspire you.
Who do you like? Who follows you? Who inspires you?
For instance, what's his name? Gary. I think you know him. He's like, I will get you the name.
Vaynerchuk?
I think so. I like that he's like straightforward.
Gary Vaynerchuk. Gary V. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
He's a Jewish guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. He does.
He's
all
from New York originally, or New Jersey.
That's Gary V. Yeah.
I like to listen again. Like there are other. I think also what's his name? He's a comedian. Steve Harvey. I think his name.
Steve Harvey. He has some good sayings.
He came. You know, people are always looking for the shortcut. That's somebody told. That's something that somebody told me that I'll never forget. People are always looking for the shortcut, but the fact is, you can never take the shortcut unless you know all the way. So I think what I appreciate about him, that he was homeless at some point, right? And he always tells about this story. It's really inspiring me because this guy had this vision, and against all the odds, he kept pushing. And, you know, number one indication, back to the discipline, why it's so important. Number one indication of people to be successful, by the way, you can go everybody to TED Talks and write grit or something like that. That's how it goes. There is a nice presentation this lady gives. They did like a very deep research, and you know, any case, long story short, is grit is the number one indication for people to know if they're going to be successful in life or not. Because
I saw this. A woman gave this speech,
yes,
right?
this is amazing, and it's really connected me to the discipline, because grit is driven by being very disciplined. But it's kind of like what behind that discipline. It's an easy word to say. You need to be disciplined. But when you understand that grit is the number one indication that every individual on this planet will be successful or not, and you're not doing anything to improve your grit or to focus on that, then you're either very not ambitious person, or you're dumb, or you're just very mediocre, basically. Again, I'm not trying to, but I'm just saying, people tell you 100%. This is the most important ingredient in every person to succeed or not, and you're not putting anything, even a little bit, 10% more on what you're doing today, on like an effort to improve it, then man, like how you want to be successful? Yeah, some people say, yeah, I'm cool, I have this job, 9 to 5, and like I'm making 100 a year. Mm-hmm. I'm very happy with. Okay, fine. I'm not blaming you. I'm not saying I don't want to have this mentality of like, yeah, I'm fine and that's all. No, I want to keep pushing myself.
You don't want to be mediocre. You don't want to get to the end of your life and feel like everything was fine.
When every time you're in the comfortable zone, you do something wrong, which is crazy to say. Enjoy the moment. Don't say enjoy the moment, but that's your number one indication that you have to push a little bit more. Find a way.
So how do you decide when to take a break? Maybe you take your wife and your kid. You have how many kids? One kid?
I have 2 kids, 3.5 and 1.5. No, yeah.
Okay.
No so life, pretty much.
No what? No life.
No life. Yeah.
But you have a great life, man.
I love every bit of it.
That's
swear.
it. I respect you the way you live your life more than 99.9% of people I've met. So, say you want to go to the aquarium, right? You do jiu-jitsu. You're working with the Jewish Foundation. Right. You're doing all this other stuff, right? How do you decide, you know what, today I'm going to take off and go to an aquarium, and maybe I'll take the weekend off and go to South Carolina. How do you tell yourself, this is something I think about, how do you tell yourself, I worked hard enough for now, I'm going to do this, and there's probably time where you take off for a weekend and you're like, I really want to get back to jiu-jitsu. I wish I could be in the gym right now. I wish I could be working right now. But how do you do that without kind of beating yourself up?
I think it's an interesting question. Just so you know, in the last probably like 3.5 years, I did not take even 1 day vacation, pretty much, to be honest. But at the same time, today, before coming here, I was an hour with my kids in the swimming pool. last night before my kids went to sleep, I built a Lego with him for like 1.5 hours. This is like the best time for me. The point is, and this is something I learned during my my martial arts career, my jiu-jitsu, you know. I just go to a normal gym. It's actually one of the best ones. I was lucky to just, you know, it's not too far from my home. It's like 20 minutes drive, so it's totally doable. Just it's called Wagner Martial Arts.
I think I've heard of it. Is it in Broward?
It's in Broward, yeah.
Okay.
It's on Hollywood on Taft Street.
By the way, and I know it's very cheap to just say you want to do something, but one of my goals is to be a black belt in the martial art, and jiu-jitsu seems like something I would want to do.
Takes time. By the way, I got my black belt after 6.5 years, which is like a speed record.
How did you get it so fast? You were obsessed.
I was obsessed.
I didn't even know that's possible. 6.5 years?
How many? I try to think normal. People go to train, let's say 3-4 times a week. It's pretty good case scenario, right? I mean, it's not like extraordinary, but it's pretty good. Like 4 times a week. Show me how many friends that are going to gym 4 times a week every week.
I go to the
It's
workout.
unusual, or it's a good average, right? It's a good average. I went every day, twice a day. In the weekends, I was like 5 to 8 hours on the mat, a day, like on Saturday and Sunday, 8 hours. So only one day in my weekend was like an average time of a person in a week. You understand? Now, on top of that, add to that I have like a kinetic talent as a human being in general. And also I really liked it, and I was obsessed, and I saw I'm starting to be good at that, so it's inspired more people. So I stay more to, you know. So it's kind of like, it's like a snowing ball that, you know, the more you just feel with yourself even better and better and better and keep going. So normally the typical time takes like 12 years or 10 years, let's say, if you are consistent with the 4 times a week. Also bear in mind you have some injuries sometimes, just even not related to martial art, just, you know, you did the wrong move with your shoulder.
Have you gotten a lot of injuries from it?
I had 1 knee surgery. Besides that, nothing too crazy. Which was even the knee surgery. 3 months after I was already back in the gym, so it's not.
I don't care. I'm more than happy to do it.
So again, like even a year before I got my black belt, my professor came to me and told me, "Hey, listen, I think you deserve the black belt." Like after 5.5 years, he already told me that. I think you deserve the black belt, but if I will give you the black belt now, so people will be so mad at me. So I'm gonna give you that next year. And you know what I told him? I don't give a shit. Give me whatever you want. I'm already the best in the gym. That's what I care. You see what I mean? So again, like it makes no difference for me. So, so again, this is one of the things that you have to stay focused on that and keep pushing it. And what makes you great, I think the toughest challenge is to find what it is. But if you are stop consuming all this bullshit, like the news, man, when was the last time you watched news and it was positive?
Never. By the way,
this is how they sell papers.
I hate watching the news. Hate it.
Facebook algorithm built by negative stuff because that's intrigue us, the instinct, the whatever, right?
The fight or flight. People like the fear. It gets them going.
Right.
Whether they love it or they hate it, they're glued to it. They can't stop. Oh, this woman, Kardashian broke up with him and her, and there's a hurricane, and this country is being, you know, this dictator, and blah, 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 and they love it. They soak it up. It's crazy.
So I just stopped consuming this waste of time, and I started to focus on building more skills and teaching myself new areas. For instance, the cryptocurrency. I for 3 months, I did not invest in that, but I said, this is the next big thing, which maybe appears to be not, maybe yes, who knows? But I said, that's a big thing. Let's learn this thing. I just want to know it. So I invested 3 months of just listening to everything I could, from YouTube videos to everything I could, to teach me that. Now, I think I'm in a good level to explain people what it means. Not that I care about it too much, honestly, especially now when it's like crash, whatever. But the point is, I invest in myself. Instead of, and this is what you ask me, how do I manage to balance my life and still enjoy and the vacations and this and that? I just really focus all my time in things I want to spend my time in it. I know it's going to take me to the next level.
So then you don't feel bad.
Yes.
Okay.
So I don't. So imagine you watch, the average person watch TV like, let's say, an hour a day.
More than that, dude.
Drinks, social, this, that.
An hour is definitely not average. Probably like 3-4 hours a day for most people.
So imagine every single day you have 2 more hours. Let's just say 2 more hours to teach yourself something. In 3 years, it's like almost a college degree.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what about 30 years? What about 10 years? What about a specific zone, a specific space that you really, really, really care and you want to be good at? Take real estate. If you take now all this BS time that we spend, you stop consuming all the negative and all these things that don't going to take you anywhere, and you're going to spend every day 2 more hours in educate yourself, although you're already educated, but you always can take it to the next level, right? About every deal somebody did in Broward County, whatever, anything.
Whatever it is, yeah.
You will be an animal in your field. Nobody can, like, you will be so educated, so well, so expert, like you kill everybody else, all your competitions.
Mm-hmm.
So this is kind of like, now I need 3 hours with my kids, but I'm fully dedicated to them. Like, I'm in the swimming pool, the phone is on the side, I don't even watch it. I'm with them, we're having fun, go back, shower, water balloon, throwing on whatever. But when I'm with them, I'm 1%. So it's so intensive. Whatever I do is so intensive.
Mm-hmm.
So it becomes so productive that my time is basically well managed, because I spend my time where I want it to spend, like where it's actually going to take me. So
that's a great answer. Yeah, it's a great answer, because when you're either working, you're doing jiu-jitsu, whatever the case is, even if you're with your kids, in a sense, that's a job. You don't maybe look at it that way, but it's a job, right?
It's a full-time job, 100%.
So as long as you're doing something where you feel it's benefiting you and it's helping you grow as a person, then you don't have to worry about taking time away from the other jobs, because this is just as much,
Right.
Yeah.
Who needs time off when you're really so good in what you're doing, or enjoy what you're doing? Just you inspire yourself in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
You like it, man. I enjoy like being with the swimming pool with my kids and not touching the phone. But then on the other end, now I go back at home, and at 11 p.m. I will start to send emails to all my staff. It's like, man, this guy is crazy. Yeah, I am crazy, and you better know that, because like we're here to level up together. So only by thinking about their reaction when they're going to open this email and see the time I send them this email, is 1 a.m. or 11 p.m. or something like that during the Rosh Hashanah holiday. By the way, happy Rosh Hashanah to everyone. It's already inspiring myself. It's kind of like, wow, man, like I know they're going to talk about me. Like, I know, like, yes, that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
It's fine. I know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't do it because I'm arrogant. I do it because I want to lead people. I want to inspire people. I want to inspire myself. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like, this is the micro wins, like this discipline thing. Like, I just do something that I know is the best out of everybody, and I'm getting my own respect and others, but it's not the focus on others. It's just myself, I'm focused on myself, like to be my best version. So nobody can argue about it, So it's kind of like, again, it's the chicken and the egg in a way. But once you're in this role of like, man, I'm going to be the best in whatever it is, it's just keep pushing you more and more and more. And whatever I will do, I'm telling you. So today, I'll give you an example. I'm doing for the Jewish Federation. First of all, pretty much I'm the only Israeli, I think, ever worked for a Jewish Federation in a sea level, just because it's the culture of an Israel culture and the US culture is very different. I always say, not going into religion, because like I'm not a big, like religious person. Right. But I think the difference between Jewish American and Christian American are much smaller than Jewish American and Israelis.
Yeah, for sure.
Much smaller. So it's very unusual already that you have an Israeli in the sea level. Put aside that I'm the youngest in the organization almost. So that's very unusual that I got this job as the chief operating officer in the Jewish Federation. Mm-hmm. And and I think again, I lost my what I really wanted to say. But the point is, or back to what I started to talk about, is I always have to kind of like put myself on the spot of like, I have to make it happen. You know, no matter what I do, I have to make it happen. And that's kind of like a routine, but it just happens to be. I'm trying to think because I had like a good point to talk about.
So a couple things. I do want to get into some of your experiences after training.
I remembered.
Okay, go ahead.
So it's a new role. I started with Stand Strong, which we'll talk about in a second. But the point is, I met with the campaign director. They're doing the fundraising, and put aside like how good they do, what they don't do. I'm still new to the role, so I'm just trying to learn and meet people and kind of like get to know the personalities and the departments we have. And I told her, listen, if I were in your campaign, I would manage to fundraise $1 million, which is like 2 times more than the best guy they have in-house pretty much. And he's like, why are you so confident? And I said, first of all, I have no doubt I will be managed to do that. The point is, I will not go to sleep until it's done. So I allow myself to aim high because I know I will deliver, and I know I will deliver because I will die before I won't deliver. Chop all my limbs, I will deliver. Back to the story. Yeah. That's how I wired. I programmed. Like if I take a decision, like I'm gonna nail it. There's no other option. It's funny. Like it's
It's a beautiful attitude. That's literally what I tell myself with both things I'm doing now. I said the only way I'm gonna quit is if God kills me. Like if I die, that's it.
Right. I actually saw in one of the social media of people I follow, I forgot the name, but he talked about like how you take decisions and all those type of things, and whatever results you want to have, okay, you have the event that happens, and how you going to react to this event. The event you have no control for the most part. Like just somebody stole my car, right? I mean, maybe I could like it more, but like that happens. Or shit happens in life, right? So the event just happened. The way I'm going to react to that, it's 100% on my control. So the results is also affected by my reaction. So again, going back to, like you said, until I'm dying. Yeah, maybe when I leave here, I will die in a car accident. Hopefully not, but God knows, right? But I know that until this point, I will do everything I can to succeed and be a better human being and not regret on what I did. And if I regret, I will learn for that and I will fix it right away. You see what I mean? So
100%.
And that's a life worth living.
I could not agree more. There's very few people think this way. So first off, so I still have many questions for you. Stand Strong.
Yes.
What exactly do you do with that?
Okay, so going to how I funded this organization, basically, I moved 8 years ago or maybe more from Israel to Chicago for a job offer that I told you, I mentioned before. During this time, it was my wife and I, we moved from Israel to Chicago downtown. We had no friends, we had no family. You don't know a thing.
Did you speak English at the time?
Yeah, I spoke English, not as, obviously in the last 8 years, my English got improved, which can always do, and I'm still working on that, but like intellectually, I'm okay.
It's great. Your English is great. You just have an accent, but the English is great.
Fine. I'm still not where I wanted to be, by the way, but it's a process. I understand it. There is much I can do.
You also kind of want to have the accent. It makes it more.
The accent, I try to get rid of it, and don't. Everybody told me don't try.
Don't do that it's because especially there's a flavor to it. It's like I was in Israeli Navy SEAL. If it's like funny. If you have a perfect English, it's less authentic. You know what I mean?
That's funny. So to the story,
you get up on the podium and everyone's like, oh.
Yes,
And everyone's like,
yes.
whoa.
It's unusual, right? It's unusual, I'll say. That's good to be unusual. You don't want to be like a sheep,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
In a way. So in any case, I told my wife, listen, I love you. I really do. But I feel like something is missing. We have no friends, no family. There is no purpose. I'm just working from like 9 to 6 and then go back home. Like, that's it. So I started to volunteer for the community. I started to talk about my military service, which we didn't talk about besides the trial, but like operations and stuff like that. And then I started to talk about the life in Israel. During this time, I started to win like world championship titles in jiu-jitsu. So people started to ask me about like leadership. Long story short, people asked me while I did this, hey, can you do like a self-defense demo, like Krav Maga and stuff? Said, yeah, now this is completely voluntarily. Like I had a full-time job, and this is like was in the evenings or a day when didn't work or whatever, weekends and stuff like that. While I was doing it for years, and this is how many Shayetet, how many Israeli Navy SEALs you have in Chicago, live downtown, that volunteer, just happy to zero, right? So I became popular, and then what happened is, after a little bit, few very influential people, in particular one, Ted Schwartz, he told me, what you're doing is absolutely amazing. My vision is that every city in the US will have what you're doing, which is basically empower teenagers by teach them self-defense. That's the point. People being bullied or a little bit soft or came from poor families or families that the parents never directed them in the right way to build their self-confidence, self-esteem. Probably the biggest problem we have in the society right now. People have a little bit more, chutzpah or guts or self-esteem, and to speak up. And also, while we're doing this, we learned from the ADL, which the ADL, right? The ADL that 60% of the Jewish students on college campuses are hiding their Jewish identity. That's insane for me. I'm like an Israeli. I don't hide it. People can tell me I disagree with what you did. I will say I totally respect it, although I don't care. I sleep very well at night, right? I'm very, very satisfied, and I'm very complete with myself on what I did, and I protected Israel. But that's crazy and we started to think about why. And the BDS, not going into this discussion too much, but the BDS are very loud. The problem is that when the Jewish students go to college, they hear those aggressive voices and they say, I don't want to go to the conflict.
Students for SJP, Students for Justice in Palestine, all those other groups.
Yeah. So you say, I will avoid it. I will just say I'm like a normal typical American teenager, and that's it pretty much. Go finish college and do my thing. But that's the problem is with that, and I always say, obviously I'm subjective. I love Israel. I live there. Everybody is very welcome to go and see that this place is not an apartheid state by all means. Like, I'm very confident that everybody will understand it once they land in the airport. But I always say, do you have the 20% of, let's say, the bad guys or the BDS guys? You will never be able to convince them otherwise. They will always be there. And you have the 10% that will always be pro-Israel, let's just call it, right? Which is already fundamentally weird, because this is pro, which I love to believe in believing or be pro of something, then anti-Israel, right? Already there is a problem. But the problem is not there, because you'll never change their mind nor theirs.
100%.
It's the 70% that are neutral, and they hear more the 20%. Because they're louder, more aggressive. These 10%, 60% of them already don't want to even present themselves as Jews. So the problem is the neutral people hear more of that. What do you think will happen in 20, 30 years today?
You're going to support that side, yeah.
Exactly. So the goal of the program is to go to the teenagers before they go to college campuses and build their self-esteem. Tell them, listen, you guys are strong. You should be proud of who you are and what you believe, whatever it is, but you should be proud. And, speak up, stand up proud, pump your chest and talk whatever you want to say. Like, don't be afraid. Don't be intimidated by that. So the program is Stand Strong. I found that 3 years ago with this person. Since then, it's grew to Chicago, Florida, South Florida, LA, and so forth. We've been all over the country, from New York to Texas, pretty much everywhere. And we're taking a group of teenagers that's willing to commit to 18 high classes, and we take them through how to keep themselves safe with very empowering messages, basically. That's the program I built from start to finish. I grew this organization from like one-man show to like 20 employees already.
I just had a crazy, like, I'm just having these moments, like just having these visions of college. Right? Like right when I get out of the Army, I had one more year of college of undergrad, and I wore my shirt, and it's like a very mixed group of people. There's like, you have a lot of Muslim students, a lot of like students who are just as in Palestine. For some reason, when I got back for that last year, I never saw them. And when we used to go to college before the Army, that last year I did see them, not that much, but I saw them. And that whole semester, I know it was, I think, what was it, 2 semesters, didn't see any of them. It's weird. Yeah. They saw me coming in with my shirt.
Good job then.
You never know.
That's how you build a reality. You are picking up, and they trying to avoid, to present their evil side.
It could be, I mean, it's a big stretch, but it could be that they, for whatever reason, I don't know. But yeah, I love it. Okay.
So this is Stand Strong. I will say like a few weeks ago, a month approximately, I started a new position. Again, I got to a point where my learning curve became like flat. I already knew exactly what we're doing in Stand Strong. Obviously, it's like I built it from scratch pretty much. And now, this is very established and recognized non-profit already in this field. And I said, this is back to a little bit, the conversation we had earlier. I need more than that. I did not come this far just to come that far. You know what I mean?
I love that saying.
Right? So I started to look for a bigger challenge, and I found it like big time as the chief operating officer in the Jewish Federation of Broward County, which is amazing team. Basically, the Jewish Federation, just to understand in general, this is the umbrella of all the Jewish life and Jewish organizations in the region, pretty much. So
everything, APAC, all these things.
So you have, like, I will say, some organizations that kind of like very like do their own thing, like Birthright and Impact, but this is very like, these are like big engines. Like they don't need anyone kind of like dictating or even telling what to do. They know they got this. They have their own funding channels and so forth. But basically every other organizations, from Holocaust survivors to anywhere, people like everything, every other, from schools, even like JCCs, like Jewish Community Centers, stuff like that. We are supporting this as a federation, as the umbrella, those organizations, and we fund them basically. That's the job, which is like, I have the best job in the world right now, because what I'm doing is the best combination of actually helping people, right? Like my organization give other organizations, they're doing phenomenal job with helping other people, our communities. And in addition, this is like, I won't say a powerhouse, but this is like the most influential organization within this space. So I'm already in the right place, and I'm in very good position there, which inspire myself to do a better job. So I always like, I'm like non-stop working now. It's like the greatest opportunity.
You must feel so appreciated, man. The people who work with you probably like love you. They probably really appreciate you. You're like a superhero to them.
I worked very hard to be where I'm now. I worked very hard. I built my reputation. Network, improving my personal skills, working. Also, I will say, luckily, I was, just privileged to be, when I founded the Stand Strong, 3 years ago, my nonprofit. I started as completely voluntary. So basically, every person got involved within, like in a board level, management level, everybody wanted to be successful, because they say, this guy did it completely voluntarily. Like, he's like, this is amazing what they do. Let's help him. So what happened is, every day I had like an hour or two with the different billionaires / multimillionaires that they just want me to succeed in a personal level, because they knew that Stand Strong will succeed. So in the last 3 years, I've been in college that nobody can apply to, right? Even if you're the most genius person. And every day I had like a different mentor and a different, guidance, or someone I'm working with, which is like ultra successful. And what I did is, I took an advantage of that, or I don't know if I took an advantage, but I just recognized the opportunity. So I try not just to learn from them, I try to learn how their mind process stuff, how they think, how they approach problems, how they solve problems, learning about operations, how they manage their companies, what, like those type of things, the behind things, not just the formal or the obvious stuff. I try to really think about why decided like that, why doing like this, all the other things. And man, I'm telling you, what I learned in the last 2 years is like, I'm like 60 years old in terms of experience.
Wow.
This is, show me one person that had like several multi-millionaires, super ultra successful in different fields, businessmen, operations, insurance guys, lawyers, everything, like just name it, like every field. And every person works in different way, in different space. So you have to see, and I just gathered the information, again. I always analyzed. I didn't say, that's fine, and moved on. No, I write, like, before I go to sleep, I have to understand what happened today. So just an amazing opportunity, I'm very grateful for that. And again, maybe I'm like the youngest person almost in my organization, but I'm telling you, even in terms of my leadership, managing skills, I'm like, I have no doubt I'm better than every other person in my age that, that has or don't have it, and I'm willing to do the extra mile. I'm willing to work hard and so forth.
It's beautiful. What I'm realizing is you built a reputation. Like I said earlier in the episode, you kind of created a life where you and other people have high expectations for you, and you always want to make sure at the very least you're living up to those expectations. And I'm sure it's conscious. I'm sure you think about it, but it's also subconscious at this point. And that's the beauty of building yourself as a man, is like doing things that are hard and challenging, but you'll respect yourself, but also other people are going to respect you. And as a man, not having respect is everything. If people don't respect you, you don't feel valuable. Your life doesn't have meaning. It's not about caring what other people think necessarily, but you need to be a valuable person. People want to be around somebody that they respect, that they look up to, that they admire. So I think, just my perception of what you're telling me, if you're in a leadership position and you have the experiences you've had, especially being in Shayetet, it's like people are going to really see you as somebody, prestigious. They understand, they recognize that very, very, practically a microscopic percentage of the world can put themselves in that environment and succeed and get through it. And even these multi-millionaires, even billionaires, they acknowledge that you did something that they probably wouldn't have been able to do. And I think that a lot of them are probably like they really admire you for it. It's huge.
I have a friend, Chezi, I love you. We're not close enough, but he was with me in the service in the Turanut, not the Shayetet though, if you remember. He was in the Nachal. He told me one thing that I will never forget. He told me, successful business want to gamble, put their money on the right horse, not on the right race. Meaning, let's say you're taking like a race that it's gonna be easy to win, right? And you put it on like the horse that looks like the best out of it. It can fail, like easy, like just something happened. Right? But once you invest in the horse, that no matter what his competition will be and what challenges he will face, you believe in this horse to win the race, then anything else is a background noises. And I think, again, like of course I'm subjective and I want to vote for myself and yada yada yada. Every person I think should have the confidence and should have the ambition enough to say, I'm going to be something someday, right? And work for that. Obviously, this is what makes the difference if you are work for that or not. But everybody is subjectively appreciate himself more than maybe others, whatever. So it's not bad. I'm not arrogant. I'm just believing in myself. I want to push myself. But I am believe that I'm this horse. Whoever will invest in me, I promise you, I will, because I have to, even if you chop my limbs off, I have to, so they know that this is my mentality. So this is the easiest decision for them to make, instead of trying to find the right race that maybe that's done. You know, even if he's going to lose 1 or 2 races, in the long run, he will beat everyone because he will keep training, keep pushing himself, and so forth. And I think in one story that really changed a lot in myself. I will tell you the story in a second, but when I was a teenager, remember I told you every year I did different sports, and I was like very arrogant. I was the most arrogant, competitive person you ever meet as a teenager. Now, I'm not blaming myself. I was a teenager, a foolish teenager, right? Just who I was. When I went to the service, to my military service in the Shayetet, I started like that, but then life humbles you so fast there, like so fast. And the point is, by the way, is not who is the fastest or the fastest swimmer or runner or the best shooter or the best whatever, tactician or whatever you diver, whatever you need to do. It's the people that their team can trust themselves. So every person in my team and the vice versa, we knew that always they will cover my 6 and the vice versa. So people that you need to trust and also very capable. So I understood very early there that it's not about how good I am. It's how good team member I am, which is more important than how good I am. In addition, you need to have this capability, but this is who cares about it? Of course, this is already like obvious. It's default, but you need to trust. So I became from super arrogant to like too humble. And it took me a lot of time to find this balance between not being arrogant but still very competitive, but also like a team player. So I can tell you, like, I'm the nicest guy in my workspace wherever I go, but also at the other end I will be like the most competitive time. Now, so the story, this is an interesting because everybody should remember this story and they will love it. And I don't know how much time we have though, but I will just tell this story because that's going to change everybody's perspective in how I found this balance between be competitive but also a friend or a colleague, right? A good leader. So Sarkozy president, you know the Sarkozy?
Sarkozy is for France, right?
Correct.
Yeah, okay.
So before he was the president, he was a mayor of some city or some like a big different role that not the president. So after he finished his presidential role, and years after, a reporter did an interview with him and told him, and I'm going like fast forward with the story because the point is like you'll never forget this point. He said, she asked, you always vote for yourself that you're not the smartest, you're never the most intelligent person anywhere, you don't even have an educational degree, like not even high school, you came from a poor family, you never been like the most talented, you clearly know the prettiest person, you said it right in the room. How from all those downsides, how you become the most influential person in the country, which is very interesting question. This is like what you're trying to think, what makes how the wheels are spinning in his head, right? How it can be possible. There is nothing on the paper that will indicate that he's going to be the president of the France, right? So he said, let me tell you a story and that will explain you everything. And this is where Stormy really shocked me. While he was a mayor, they launched a new museum or something like that. Again, I don't remember exactly the story, but the story is, and every person, as the mayor, and like, this is my new museum, everybody wanted to get close to him, and he was the most popular and important figure in the event, so everybody come to him to say hello, right? As every event, right? You have this guy that everybody kind of like attract to because his position, whatever. So every person that came and shake his hand, he gave them very personal compliment. So it's not just, oh, I love your shirt, like, oh man, this color on your t-shirt, on the shirt is like fits you perfect, or oh, this is why you're so successful, look at your beautiful wife, or those shoes I was looking to buy them, where did you find it? I couldn't find it anywhere. So every person that came to him, like, he gave them not just a compliment, but like very super personal, like, you can, like, this is, oh, you strike me, like, this is like, you clearly look at me, you care about me, you scan me, and you know what's important for me, right? In a way. And people started to gather around him while he's like shaking people's hands, and Now, the problem is if I gave you on the shoes, on the chairs, on the watch, whatever, I can't keep repeating itself because the whole point is very, very personal.
Personal, right.
So while the last person came to shake his hands, he's like looking for something and he's looking around and everybody like, he gave everything that
the compliments out already.
Yeah, like there is nothing in his arsenal to give.
Right.
While he's shaking his hand, it took some time. He said, "Man, you have a strong shake hand." So the point is to the story is, you always need to look for good in people before you look the good. And he was in the best position. He always gave the most personal, touching, compliment.
Mm-hmm.
And what happened is, imagine that, we're going for a double date, or you go with your partner. Let's imagine we're going for a dinner, just as a friend, invited me. And all this conversation in very genuine way, right? Because that's the point of being personal, not just generic stuff.
Right.
Very genuine way. I give, let's say, your girlfriend, I give her a lot of compliments, but like, I really like your business. This is very smart. This is the right timing. I think you're excellent. So tell me a little bit more about, oh man, I love how you did it. This is so special, right? What's going to follow this meeting is you create, I call it the thank you culture. You create a triangle that will always serve you back. And that's what Sarkozy did. She going to love me because I appreciate her. I was very personal to her. She appreciated me because I see the good at her, right? So she is already a fan of mine. What's going to follow besides that, which is the obvious, she's going to make sure that you appreciate me and you love me and you stay close to me because she knows it's going to serve her interest. Because I appreciate her, so she'll make sure you're close to me because it serves her interest. What happened is she's a big fan of me and you're a big fan of me by giving her this compliment. So the point is, and in the beginning, it sounds like it's not genuine, it's artificial, it's like...
Yeah, that's what it sounds like, yeah.
But the thing is, once you program your way of thinking, of looking the good in people, and give them, empower them. It's really empower them. What is empower? You don't have to do it, but you want to do it.
I realize I do this with certain friends when I'm close, especially when I'm close with friends. If I see they have a nice shirt or whatever it is, I'll just do it. Yeah.
You're just saying it. So why, back then when there's Facebook, like 10 years, 5 years ago, somebody sent me a friend request on Facebook. I'm like, no, deny.
Yeah.
Somebody told me, why you deny? Why you care? Like, I mean, why you being arrogant with other people? Just be good to everybody. It's just going to serve you at some point. You understand? Even if it's a lower level of you or whatever, essentially it's going to serve you if you are a nice guy, right? So the point is, again, I'm not saying go tomorrow and start walking the street and but what it makes you, it's kind of like your default will be good to others. Look the good in others. People will think you are a good guy. You will become a good guy. Like the perspective you mentioned. Like, I know I have to deliver. I know I'm more disciplined. I can't fuck this up right now. I have to be disciplined. I can't tell you that I'm waking up at 6 a.m. and tomorrow wake up at 9.
9, right.
You understand? So the same principle works here. You start to look the good in other and people start to be more appreciated. You start to build your reputation as the good guy and so it's kind of like a snowball that really essentially just serves you. And I will be honest with you today, it's my default, not because, like, genuinely, every place I go, I just want to be this guy because in my perspective, I reprogram myself to be like that. You understand? So it's not because
it's natural.
It's natural. It's not because I'm trying to, just be forgot the word.
This disingenuous or like not real,
yeah. No, I'm genuinely. This is how I now works. Now I work, right? So, so this is like a story that really changed with how you can build reputation, and because we're always in these competitive areas in your life, and something I really appreciate about you, Eyal, that you mentioned him in the beginning, is, so to speak, a competition for you, but it's not really. You know why? Because there is enough for everyone.
100%.
So
100%.
So just be so kind to other that even he and even everybody else will appreciate you, which essentially will build your reputation.
It's exactly my thought process. I'm not gonna keep it quiet. Like, I'm not gonna say what he does for a living. No. He's awesome. Me. He's great. He's a
you are awesome, and everybody can live. Anyone can make a living, right?
Even more so. with certain transactions. He's been in the business longer than I have, and he's very successful.
Right.
He has a lot of connections. If there's a kind of deal, if there's a kind of real estate deal that I think he would be great to do, okay, for instance, multifamily. He's very good at multifamily. If I have a client who wants to buy a multifamily, who wants to list multifamily, AL's going to be one of the first people I look at and want to work with. So I'm willing to take less commission and work with him, and I know that my client's going to get amazing service.
Precisely.
Boom, and I get to learn in the process. AL's going to teach me, yada, yada, you know what I mean? So that we already spoke about that. So that's going to happen. So incredible things. I'm loving this. I'm sitting here listening so much, and
I'm sorry.
No, not at all. This is how it should be. It's about like there are certain podcasts where I'll go very back and forth,
okay.
But this is for me. It's really special to me to have somebody that I admire so much, even though we just met for the first time. So I'm doing a lot of listening because I have a lot to listen. In terms of your actual experiences, right? What were some of the most intense experiences in CAV, right? In actual combat. When did you serve?
So I served from 2003 to 2008, which is like approximately 5 years.
2003 to 2008.
It was during Lebanon Second War, and actually the most intense period was after Gilad Shalit kidnap, if you remember.
Okay, so just to quickly do this, guys, for whoever doesn't know, Gilad Shalit was an Israeli soldier. He was in the Cast Lead. Okay, that was the war. One of the first Gaza war, right?
Yeah.
Cast Lead. Yeah. So
it's after we gave Gaza. And
what was it, in 06 or 08? I'm forgetting already when Cast Lead was. Anyway, it was a war where. What year was it? I can look it up, but I don't remember.
I think it was, if I need to guess,
06
somewhere between 2000.
Pretty sure it was
5 to 6. Must be somewhere there. Probably
Operation.
6, closer to that.
Operation date. I'm just curious. I want to see. Yeah, 2008. I was right. December 27, 2008.
8?
Yep.
No. Yeah?
Yeah, it says Gaza war start date on December 27, 2008 in response to 8 years of barrages of rockets and missiles launched by Hamas.
No. So that was before that. That was the operation followed maybe.
So Gilad Shalit was before 08?
When Gilad Shalit was kidnapped, because it went right away, right after. Like I'm talking about like days after.
Yeah, I remember that.
It was like, we went all loose. Like what, you don't do that to us.
To the June 25th, 2006.
Yeah, makes sense. I remember.
Which operation was it? Hold on, 2006.
So that was a while.
Gaza-Israel conflict. But I thought there was a name for it. Wasn't there a name?
It's interesting. I don't think they even have names because it was like even not like now we're saying, oh, it's another round, right, with Gaza.
Right.
But it was before it was rounds because what happened is, long story short, we gave Gaza to them pretty much.
Yeah.
You could say Palestinian, doesn't matter.
Yeah, whatever.
We gave them the Gaza voluntarily. We said we disengage completely, do whatever you want. And what happened is for a year, completely 1 year, no IDF soldier stepped on Gaza Strip. And what they did, instead of like, I'm telling you, I have friends from my team, like clearly a friend from my team, like my brother. He lived in Gaza Strip before we gave them Gaza Strip. We went to visit him a few times there, and the beaches, the area was like gorgeous, like amazing, like Sinai, when you're like really unbelievable. And they could literally, instead of all this shit and the tunnels and the rockets that they built and invested in all this terror stuff, they could build like an amazing Club Med and like tourism. Like it could be like so amazing. I'm telling you, I've been there. That was like, wow, better than any coast in Israel, any beach in Israel. That was like way nicer.
Why was it so nice?
Just like Sinai, like not many people touch this area too much, and everywhere the human beings are, we rip this off pretty much after a short amount of time. Yeah. But point is, we gave them this land, and they completely fucked this up. They, they focused on the terrorists. So for a whole year, no soldier could we didn't, we want to give them like a fair chance, like do your thing. It was before we even locked the sea. They did everything they wanted back then, and they started to shoot rockets through Israel. In fact, I'm not going into much details, but my team and I were the first soldier to enter Gaza Strip to stop. So back then they shot rockets through Israel, and we didn't know how they do that. Like we didn't know if it's silos or if they like spontaneously.
You didn't have Kipput Barzel. You didn't have the Iron Dome.
Nothing. No, I'm talking about 2000.
So
like
those
nothing.
rockets were just falling onto Israel.
Yes. Sporadically, we didn't know even. We didn't have the intelligence to know how many people do that. If it's from houses, I think Israel did not have the technology yet to even know where it's coming from exactly. Mm-hmm. Now you know on the on the square feet, you know exactly like who did it, everything. You have everything in the sky. And
drones, everything.
Like everything. You can monitor everything. But back then, like it was like very virgin. Like nobody knew anything. So they sent us because they recognized a pattern of like the same unit, the same few terrorists that's sending the rocket from approximately the same area in the same times, pretty much. So they send us to stop them, which we did, which was amazing, and I can tell a little bit about this. After we disengaged,
all the details because I want to know the day that they told you were going in. I'm deep diving right now. Like you.
I will share as much as I can though, because by the way, I'm telling about this story in general. Most of the operation I can't talk about. But this one was published in the news in Israel. Okay. So technically, I'm not saying anything that's classified already because it's been. You see what I mean? But I'm not gonna say anything.
So what I meant by that is you don't have to go into all these little details. But I wanted to understand the apprehension, like the feeling you had in your chest of when they said you're going to Gaza.
Yeah,
how was that?
Okay. Send me. Like, why are we even waiting? Why I did all this training? Man, if I can stop terrorists from shooting rockets through Israel, that's why I signed for.
100%.
So it wasn't even my personal view on my military service, which is like insane in a way. Like I will never talk like that ever again, especially when I have kids now. But I was sure I will lose my life during my military service. I'm saying it, not I thought. I said I was sure because in a way I just accepted it. I know it's the dumbest thing that only a teenager can do, right? But I was willing to pay the price, honestly. Luckily, my team and I were so skillful that we managed to protect ourselves. But I can tell you about stories that I was like as close as possible. I've been under fire like a zillion times. I don't even remember. But to the story, we went there and they sent us for a few days to wait for them. Essentially, they show up. We stop them. The biggest thing for us was not just that we stopped them, which was like literally the first soldiers walking on Gaza Strip back after, we gave them that area, was we learned their process, how they do that, which was useful, very useful for all the intelligence and Air Force and everything, because moving forward, we could kind of like predict better how they do stuff and how we can stop them. So that was like a big thing. Gaza is very special, I will say, in a way. It's the only place on the face of the earth that when there is shooting, everybody, it's like a party. All the neighbor, everybody comes. Everywhere from Hezbollah to Pakistan to every other place in the world. When there are shootings, everybody run away. Who wants to die, right? Nobody wants to die. And especially the uninvolved, like the families, the women, the kids, everybody run away.
You're saying they all come outside, whatever?
And it's like a party. All the neighborhood are coming outside. Now, imagine how complicated it is that you have like terrorists shooting at you, and you also see kids in your target. Like obviously you don't like.
So that's part of why they do it, right? Because they want to.
That's what they do. That's their system. Right. That's their system, and then one get killed. Very unfortunate,
and
tragic
in the news,
situation. Exactly. That's how they make a living. That's how they keep themselves there in the positions and getting money and all the bad stuff that keeps this conflict alive, pretty much. But to the point is, after this, after we stopped them, we started to disengage. As I said, it started to be like a party. We're running back basically to the ocean. And
Here's a question. Do you feel that a lot of them were afraid of you, though? Like even guys from Hamas, or not at all?
I felt they had no problem to die.
No?
No. They just, it's, your common sense is in a way not their sense. Today, I will assume that especially the youngsters and the women are probably afraid. So let's say there's a Hamas soldier, right? A terrorist, pretty much. And he tells like a family, you have to go out and we're going to shoot a rocket, but we want you to be there. Because if they kill, they like, it's a store. Of course, the family will say, no, there are human beings.
Mm-hmm.
Like every human being wants to survive and protect his kids. But they are afraid to say no because they will literally kill them on the spot. So now the problem is a little bit different. But in general, Gaza today is like once there is some... Now it's only like specific missions and, you know, the IDF and it's different. But back then it was like casual. Let's go in. Something happens. Shooting, party, all the shebang. Like it's a day in the office.
I'm just trying to visualize. You're telling me the story and I'm imagining what it's like, right? So when I used to do arrests, obviously it's not Gaza,
right.
But as soon as we go in, either we go in through the regular entrance, but most of the time we would go in through, you know, some way from the side.
Right.
We left the jeeps a few kilometers away or whatever it was, maybe a kilometer away, 2 kilometers, and we would do the walk. So it would take them longer to realize, but they realized anyway. The dogs would be barking. They start cursing us out. You know, everyone's yelling Jaish, everyone's yelling, you know, whatever. And pretty much everything gets blown anyway.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then we just everyone gets excited, the adrenaline and whatever. But in your case, I'm just trying to picture myself in that position. It's like, what can you tell me? Because I know like you can't say certain things. So I
can tell you after we disengaged, okay, because the goal was just to stop them and to gather the information about how they're shooting rockets. We did it. Mission accomplished. Let's go back home pretty much, because we're not playing games. We're not just there to kill people and make noise.
Well, was there a moment where you had a shawarma there? Was there a moment where were there any weird experiences that you remember just being there? Like, did you, at some point So
I will tell you 2 stories that both will answer your question pretty much. So when we disengaged from this particular operation, we ran through the ocean, which in terms of what I can share, I will stop there. But while we're running, what they did, more and more people started to come. And what they did, they just took their weapons, their Kalashnikovs, and just started to spraying. So while we're running, because like so many people are coming, even we were super skilled and super experienced team, man, you have like thousands of people already there. Like this is, you know, like it's no
thousands
place you
of people.
Yeah, it's not a place you want to stay in, right?
And so bullets were pretty much just flying around.
Yeah, and the sand is like ching 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 while we're running, like Rambo story, like Rambo movies. Like, so I'm telling you, that was a funny story. And then and by the way, I literally remember vividly at this moment that I told myself, I'm so glad they pushed me in the training. Because now, if I don't run fast enough with all the equipment, and man, you have like a lot of kilos on your back. If I don't run as fucking fast as I can with all my team, we're dead.
Die, yeah.
We're dead. Like I'm literally running in the sand and chin 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 chin. Like the sand is like that's a movie. Like this is like Hollywood cannot invent something like that. This is crazy.
I mean, they could make a movie on your life. It sounds pretty amazing. Yeah.
That's funny though, Aman. But it's makes you appreciate like the hard work you put before, and you understand like how important it is. Even the mental, like you say, I have to run. This is like a soft sand. You know, it's hard to run on soft sand with like 40 kilos on your back or 50 kilos on your back when you weigh 70 kilos, right? So
yeah, it's a lot of weight.
Yeah. So that's one thing. The second thing, just to understand the mentality in the operation. So there was a different time. We went to, again, we got an intel of, I won't mention what area, intel on 2 terrorists that they gathered, like doing a meeting together. And there was an access point for us to get there quietly and maybe to get them. You know, the protocol of Sir Lachatz, I think it's called. Like when you circle the house, you literally take a speaker and you tell them, "Hey, listen, we are around you. We don't want to kill you. Come outside." And the game is over. Like let's come outside. Let's knock it off now instead of like us killing you and yada yada yada. And so we did this. We went there. We did this. It was again in one of those places that you don't want to go loud, but it was like we knew there are a lot of innocent people in this. It was like a small building.
Where in Gaza was this?
In Gaza, I'll say just closer to the beach.
Okay. And this was in a building? They were in a building?
Was in a
But don't you
few floors building.
So you're telling me now, but if you're going on the speaker, don't you worry it's going to blow your cover and somebody else?
Yo, you know it will.
It is.
Yeah. And then now there are like, but listen, we knew there's going to be a few families in this building. We didn't want them to get killed. So it's kind of like a risk you have to take.
You're risking your life. See, that's what people don't understand. So people don't hear. You're risking your life so kids in the building don't
100%. Now, the craziest part of this story is we literally told all the innocent people, like the grandfathers and the grandparents and their kids and their wives and everybody, go outside. We don't want you to get hurt. Come outside and with the terrorists will handle. During this time, we learned there was a third person that actually bigger than both of them, so that there was more reward on the stake, pretty much. So we had to get it done, like right.
Do they give you any kind of benefit? Do you get any kind of like money reward or anything?
No, what are you talking about?
Wouldn't think
that's my job.
I know. I wouldn't think so, but I'm just curious.
No. It's just better. It's better purpose for yourself when you learn that.
100%.
You know what I mean? Like you do it because it's like your life.
I didn't go for money. There's no money.
No, yeah. By the way, most of the things I did well in my life were not for money. That's the best outcome that came from me personally. It's not for money, but this is a different subject. But the point is, so we gather all the families outside, and it's pretty short story, but it's like mind blowing. And my job as just part of the team and also self defense a little bit, like we gather all the families outside, and my job was to make sure nobody hurts them / they don't do anything foolish. And there were like, I'm talking about like maybe like 15 people outside that were like old like grandparents, their wives, their kids, like, but I'm talking about like at least 15 people. We're putting them on the corner, just on the fence of the building, to make sure they don't do anything like bad, nor nobody hurts them, and they don't get involved in that.
Did the kids understand who you were? They knew you guys were Israelis?
They knew, and by the way, we always had like in our pockets some lollipops. Candies? Yes, we always gave them.
Where'd you get them from? You brought them from
before.
Oh, they told you to do that? To like
no, we give it to ourselves just to get like a sugar kick, pretty much. Okay. But then when you see the kids, like you're saying, like they are so innocent, like I didn't want them to suffer, and I know this lollipop will mean so much more for them than like.
Here's another thing. Do you think that I'm a big question person. I like to ask questions. How I learn. Do you think that Hamas and the people there in general were able to tell that you were a special forces unit versus a regular unit? Obviously, your gear is different. I don't know at the time you guys didn't have all the nice gear.
I don't think they think about it too much. They just know that like for them, I'm like the bad guy in a way, and the way I'm operating my body and my weapons and my team, they know like I know what I'm doing pretty much. Like clearly, even if you see someone play a sport, you say, "Oh man, this guy knows what he's doing." Right? This is so obvious. This is right. But the point is, I was making sure nothing happens there with them. What happened is one of the guys, the third guy, went to the roof, took a grenade, and just threw it on top of me with all the family. So basically, the grenade literally landed between my legs, and next to me, 15 of their family members, like 15 at least, maybe more.
So they were willing to kill their whole family?
Wipe the whole family just to get me. Luckily, which the grenade is the most primitive mechanism of like weapon. Like I don't know when they invented the grenades, like 1920 or something. Like
first I don't know when exactly.
And it's like cell phones. The more the newer it is, the more it's break. So like this is the mechanism is so simple that like you never add like how it's called, like naval, which is like when it's not explode reach. So luckily that was one of the one that
it didn't explode.
Yeah, that's why I'm here. Like literally it landed between my legs. Like any fine grenade I won't be here today. Like clearly wiped with all the family, like gone.
It wasn't your day, man. God wanted you around.
Yeah, so I kicked the grenade, which was probably too late, but in any case it didn't explode. So so that was like that intensive.
Oh, you as soon as it dropped, you kicked it away.
Yeah, but because it threw it from the roof, the 3 seconds already passed.
It would have blown.
Yeah. So I mean, like I had nothing, no way to stop it. Like,
yeah.
But it shows you, first of all, their mentality, that they're willing to literally wipe their family off just to, like, man, like, are you fucking stupid? I was there to protect them, literally. You know, like, if I were, like, at this point, I'm not even the bad guy in a way. You know what I mean? Like, even if you don't like me. Like,
but you probably had. I think there's no debate on who's a more moral group. Man. There's no question. But I'm sure there were Israeli soldiers that just were pissed off. They were angry. I don't think the people, they were going and killing kids, but you know, they were probably.
Look, we all.
I'm not trying to talk badly. I'm just saying, if I can't blame them, because there's such an animosity that, like, if I were in Gaza, I don't know what I would do.
The most impactful story I have for my military service was actually from doing something good for a terrorist that, I'm telling you, I think until this day is in jail, pretty much, in Israel. The goal, and again, I'm going quickly on this story, but it was the middle of the winter, middle of the night. The goal was just to take him to justice in Israel.
This was in Gaza, though?
No, in Gaza, but I can share more than that.
Okay.
But basically, we managed to get to his bedroom, wake him up with all family, and that's done. Now, before we wrap it up and leave, because it was so quiet, everything went perfect. Like, normally operation does not go like as you expect. Everything was like clearly flawless, luckily. So I remember while I was like, I was holding him pretty much while this process, before we left his home. The protocol says, just look around to see if you see any intelligence like that you can gather, or / weapons, just because you're already there. So just like invest 3 more minutes of your time just to see what you can find out, because it was important enough to send us. So everything we'll find will be meaningful, pretty much for the Shabak, for our secret services and our agencies, basically. So during this time, I remember that, we woke him up with underwear, middle of the winter, super cold. I was cold with all my
kind of underwear. Did he have like the white tighty ones?
Yeah.
He didn't have like cool boxers. He had like the tight ones. Not so scary after that.
So it was literally shaking. It was shaking. I'm telling you, it was so freaking cold, like shaking. And
you pulled him out of the house in his underwear?
Yeah, but it was still in this house.
Oh.
So point is, I was with him in the hallway, and he was shaking from cold. And the family, we gathered all the family in one room, in their living room.
Yeah.
And they were like seeing us. They had like a line of like seeing us while I was there. And I'm telling you, man, I have like goosebumps when I think about it. You can clearly see that. The look in their eyes when they look at me was, we hate you to the bones. Like, there is nothing more than we hate you in this war. Like, this is the only thing we care about, and we hate you so much. And I see his wife and few kids, and this is like terrible. I didn't feel so comfortable to be in this position. Although this guy killed few innocent people. Like, he was deserved to be in prison. Like, no question. He was deserved to get a bullet in his head. No normal moral human being will disagree with it. I'm telling you, right? So, but again, that wasn't our job. Our job was to bring him to justice. We did our job like professionals. So,
who did he kill? What was it? He shot people?
No, I can't say. Okay. I can't say. But the point is, so I saw he's shaking from cold, and this guy deserved a bullet in his head. Like, this guy is like the nasty of the nastiest. I went to his family, and I didn't know Arabic, but I know kamisa. Kamisa, I think it's like a blanket or something like that. And I asked, kamisa, literally like that, like an idiot, right? You don't know how to, you just kind of like communicate with the body language pretty much. And I remember his wife, she took the blanket, and I saw they have few. She took it and like make it like super tight on her, like on her body, right? And I'm like, Misa. And she's like, didn't want to give it to me.
Why not? She didn't understand what you wanted?
No, she thought for me.
Oh.
So I literally took by force because they had few. So I like, obviously I didn't take without, that was not my purpose. I took it from them, and I was putting this on him. But not just putting him on him. He was sitting at this point. I was covering his shoulders, his feet, like you will do to your little kid. Yeah,
you did it nicely. Yeah,
nicely, man. And that was not my job. I just knew we have 3 more minutes, and this guy is like shaking from cold, and it was freaking cold.
So this was inside the house.
Inside the house.
Oh, so there was no like ventilation. It was just like the walls were thin. No heat.
Cold.
There was no
cold.
heat. There was no heat in the house.
Yes, winter, cold. Like I'm telling you, I was cold. And I was the gear and adrenaline, everything.
Wow, yeah.
So he was in the middle of the night. He was woke up. I woke him up like 2 minutes ago, right? With that underwear, with the teddy bear. So I remember this moment after I putting the blanket on him. Man, I'm telling you, this is a feeling I can never be able to describe to anyone. But from the most evil, hatred highs I ever saw in my life to what the fuck just happened, like his kids and his wife saw that we are not that bad as they always being preached and brainwashed like their whole life, that the Israeli army is like nastiest and they're evils and they're this and that. Then they see me because like generally I was covering, like under the feet, like this is like to be like this is above and behind. I won't do this to my wife maybe even, you know what I mean, like this, who does such a thing? But I really didn't want him to. I said, listen, that's done. Like everything went flawless. He's gonna go to jail like for the rest of life. It's done, right? I mean, the operation is not over until it's over. But at this point, I knew we got this.
He went there forever for the rest of his life.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I will never forget this feeling, how all their perspective, all their life changed immediately. To the story, when you have a big operation, normally you bring like the chief of staff or somebody from the Shabak to do summarize the operation, right? So I remember the guy from the Shabak, from the Israeli FBI, came in the end of the, like we almost like everything went smooth, which is never happens, but everybody thumbs up, we did this, that. He comes and say, listen guys, I don't know who is this guy that cover our object like with blanket, but this guy was so appreciative that we did it in front of his family, that in the interrogation room he literally told us everything we didn't even know. He was voluntarily tell us everything. The point is, which was like mind-blowing because I didn't do it because of that, but it was like, I think something so fundamentally changed in his chemicals in the body, in his mind and his family, that he said he knew he's gonna be in jail for the rest of his life, but he was just so appreciative to the way we handled them. He also was brainwashed. Think about it. He was brainwashed all his life. That's what he did. Although he deserved the bullet in his head, no question. But he voluntarily told everything. That he said, like, we never faced a case like that, and that was like the best. Like we will recommend moving forward in different procedures to do it, to build a protocol for that, pretty much. So the point is, I think I changed his mind. I think I changed his family's mind. I think I did something that a good Samaritan will just do. I knew I did my job. I knew I'm a professional. My goal is not to hurt anyone, and I think this is important for people that don't know the IDF, like in general, and they've been brainwashed. That this is kind of like, I'm a normal human being that I want to make a living. I want to enjoy my kids. I want to drink beer, although I don't drink alcohol, but I want to do my thing. I want to watch Netflix and eat pizza like every other person. But when I go to stop terrorists, I do this because that's my purpose, and that's like, if I not gonna do that, we're gonna get killed pretty much in Israel. So, and he also told the Shabak like pretty much everything he knew voluntarily, which is like priceless. They didn't even knew he knew those stuff, but that's amazing. This is like one of my, but this is very intensive story that, imagine like 19 years old kid learn something like that in his life. This is,
you were 19 at the time?
19, 20.
Unbelievable.
So now you ask me why I'm the youngest in the Jewish Federation. Man, what I finished my military service. I
feeling
knew
like
right
you're
there.
70.
Yes, I do.
How old were you when you were in Gaza?
Anything between 19 to 22, pretty much. And I faced like multiple time like life.
Almost dying, yeah.
Yes, like
Me too. I wasn't in Gaza, but I almost died a few times.
So
It does that to you, man. Yeah, it makes you a lot older mentally.
right,
And then you come out of it and people are complaining about the dumbest shit.
man.
And you're just and you don't want to be judgmental because you understand that they didn't go through these experiences, but it's hard not to sometimes.
So you know what I'm focused my energy today when it pisses me off, which is like, man, I almost died as like 20 years old. You're talking like 35 years old, and you complain that your PlayStation doesn't work. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? But I go back to kind of like channel my energy with like saying to myself two things. First of all, my job is maybe to help this guy, if I can.
Maybe it is, yeah.
If he's willing to get my help and hear my advice, I will always try to help them. As the Sarkozy story kind of thing, that like I want to help people if I can, and I want to make them feel better with themselves if I can. But even if not, I'm telling myself, when I hear these people complain for such a foolish stuff and they are so mediocre the way they approach stuff, I'm saying, man, I'm going to conquer whatever I want. This is going to be so easy. Those guys, I'm competing with them.
That's what I look at, by the way. That's what I say.
Dude, it's like, it's no brainer. Like, it's done. Like, it's so easy for me even more. Like, I'm even more motivated right now, you know, because I knew before nothing will stop me, 4 limbs. And now I'm saying like, man, like they don't even want to run. Like I don't even need to chop my 4, you know.
It's too easy, yeah.
It's too easy, right? So again, this is kind of like how I channel my energy. Back then I used to be like mad at people that thinking like that. But today I'm kind of like, if I can help them, I will definitely want to help them just as a good human being. Exactly the same reason why I covered him with blanket. I think if you can be the good guy or the bad guy, most of us will choose to be the good guy. Just again, why not if you can? Then second of all, just realize that, man, like this is not a competition for you. Just keep working hard, you'll get there.
For sure. I could talk to you for another 3 hours,
I know,
Lior.
man,
But I have to go to this meal, to this dinner, and I'm sure you have your family to go to. This has been an amazing episode. I really look forward to building a friendship with you, brother.
Likewise.
I'm inspired by you. Quite frankly, as they say in America, you're a certified badass. So it's an honor and a pleasure to know you guys. I hope you made it this far, and I would love to have you on again sometime in the near future. We'll kind of do like a second part to it.
All right. Focus maybe on other aspects, but on other aspects, because again, like I have like so many life lessons here. You know, I didn't touch like. It's fine. Yeah.
Oh, we could.
I think it was interesting enough.
Okay, well, I hope you felt like we got a lot out of it. There's just so much to talk about. I mean,
yeah, I agree with you.
But here's the other thing. Like, I would be happy to do a second one very soon, so we can touch up a lot more. Even if you want to do,
even if people want to hear like different questions from other things, like they have questions, we can address that.
So I'll tell you what, we can do a part 2 and just have like before the episode comes out, I'm going to mention we're doing a part 2. And this week can go into a lot more of what you wanted to put on, what you have on paper,
right?
And then they can just ask their questions.
And I think the rest of the stuff are more related to be successful in your like workspace mindset. and the mindset of like succeeding in life, and not just kind of like we focus mainly on discipline and a little bit experiences that build me, and I try to give people tools that kind of like help me, and maybe they can implement themselves, which I'm sure some people will take many of those things. I hope so, right? But there are a lot of things that like for entrepreneurs and like we all face. Listen, in our life we face so many no's, right, and challenges. That's how life works: ups and downs, challenges, and you hear more no than yeses. So again, like if we want to do the part 2, I would love to, and focus more on like a different aspect.
Honestly,
of the conversation.
If you want to do the part 2 this week, and it'll come out the next week, meaning I would do mostly.
Let's give it like a couple of weeks. I would love even to hear it myself. This episode to kind of like, I forgot. I wanted to say this maybe, and right.
For sure. Okay, awesome, guys. I hope you had an awesome time listening to this, and I hope you gained a lot of value, enjoyed the stories, enjoyed the mindset, talking about discipline. I know I did. So Lior, thank you so much for
Thank
coming.
you, man.
Make sure to subscribe, guys. I know a lot of you are watching and not subscribing. Subscribe, like, leave your comments, good or bad. We welcome them all, and I look forward to having you a part of the next episode. Thanks.